Here is the annual outdoor lighting setup tour for summer 2025. I'm going to get some shots of all the equipment during the day so you can see the equipment itself better. And then we'll come back and take some more pictures tonight of what it looks like with everything turned on. I would have liked to have done this video with the crickets and the cicadas in the background because it really creates a nice ambiance out here. But unfortunately the summer for some reason has abruptly and unexpectedly ended about a month early, and it's dropping into the 40s at night and all that stuff has hibernated or died off or whatever it does. I don't think we'll hear any of it tonight. So that's kind of a bummer, but we can still get a good look at all the equipment. So starting up here on the deck, we have an American Electric 150 watts high pressure sodium street light. This one is from 2007. This is a 315. There's the bulb. And on the deck we have a dimmer switch here, just kind of haphazardly set up until I do something better, for the incandescent string lights. The string lights run all along the gutter and all along the railing. I changed these over to these incandescent bulbs in the spring, and what a difference it made. These look so much nicer. These have been out here all summer for quite a few months now. Yeah. Stupid bugs. These have been out here for several months. I've used them almost every day. They've been out here in the wind and the sun and, let's say, rain, but it didn't rain at all this summer. Case in point, they've taken a beating in plenty of windstorms that had no rain, and not a single bulb has broken or burned out. One bulb did break. It was not of natural causes. I don't know what the heck happened, but I heard something crash, and I come out here on the deck, and the fan was like over here face down, and then this whole string was off the railing. I don't know what happened, but when this string crashed on the ground, only one of the 3 bulbs that hit the ground broke, but it was working the night before, so I will say 0 bulbs have failed of natural causes, and I expect none to fail probably for several years. These have been much more reliable than the LED bulbs thus far, and I expect them to continue to be. And of course, being that these are glass, they're not fading in the sun, they're not getting any water inside them, and they still look like new because you can just wipe them down and they clean up real easy. Beautiful at night. It looks absolutely fantastic. Really nice, inviting, warm, incandescent glow. I wish I changed these over to incandescent a long time ago. And as far as the power consumption is concerned, yes, they do draw about 500 or 600 watts. If you dim them down, it's a little bit less. I have noticed 0 difference in the light bill using these lights every day. And of course, I don't just run them all the time. I only use them when I'm outside, which is all that you need. In terms of solar stuff, we got a couple things this year. We have a little frog spotlight, and I guess that broke. Okay, that shouldn't be much of a surprise. And we have a rock spotlight. Both of these things work inconsistently and intermittently. And we have a solar candle, and this is probably the most reliable solar piece out here, although unfortunately it's starting to rot away. We have these lantern things that I got out of the trash. Those really nice. I like those a lot. I filled them with solar string lights. There's the solar cell for this one, and then those 2 on the table are over there. Probably should put them on the railing so they get the late afternoon sun like that one is. There's those. Those look nice. And then over here, I have a solar post top light. I have two more. I was going to put one over there and then one over there, but I just didn't get to it yet. And this one is already broken, so probably just needs a new battery. These sat for a little while before I got to installing them, so I can't really blame the fixtures themselves. The batteries don't like to sit, so chances are if we put a new battery it would work fine. So the incandescent string lights going down the side of the railing, and on the other side of the railing we have another string of solar string lights. These are the same thing that's in those things. It was a pack of 4. So each one of those took one string, and I had one left, so I put it over here on the railing. And it was a perfect length. It goes from there all the way down to the bottom, and it's just enough light to be able to see the stairwell in complete darkness with nothing else turned on. And here's the solar panel. I should really mount this, because this is going to be out here permanently now. Or until it breaks, I guess. Okay. In the backyard, we have the light above the back door, which was a Lithonia lighting thing. Still working. The original CFL did die, how many months ago. I put a amber colored DEL bulb in there, which is similar to the color of sodium. And that so far has been working properly, and it looks pretty good. We've got a 70 watts street light on the deck, which I need to clean again. Lots of stinking bugs in there. We have another 70 watt street light on this corner of the deck, and another 70 watt street light on that corner of the deck. In the backyard, we have a couple new street lights I just put in a few weeks ago. We have this one here, which is an American Electric 115, 100 watts high pressure sodium. And this is all just kind of hacked together for the moment. I'll fix it eventually. And then on the back, we have another American Electric 115, 100 watts high pressure sodium street light. And then back by the water, which has completely dried up. This is the driest I have ever seen. Look at the grass is just cooked. It never burns out back here. The water is just, it's gone. I'm pretty sure all the frogs died off as well, because there's just no water. You can walk all the way back there. It's dry, firm ground. It's crazy. This was the first street light I installed, and it's still going. There were 2 cases this summer where I noticed it was acting kind of weird. Nothing consistent. It's been fine the last couple weeks. I wonder if the bulb is, getting towards the end of its lifespan. It doesn't have high hours necessarily, but it's been turned on and off a good number of times, and that creates more wear than runtime does. These are also using, pretty cheap bulbs. Now look at the wilting. I mean, these are trees that have been here for several years, and look at this. It's just, oh man, this is not good. We are in a really serious drought here. And then over here we have another American Electric 115, 100 watts street light. This one I got to take it down and change the top, whatever the cap is called, because it's a shorting cap. It's not a daylight sensor. And this one appears to be full of bugs already. which is kind of disappointing because I just put this up here a few weeks ago. But there's that. Adding those two lights on the side there really filled in the yard nicely, and it looks absolutely fantastic now. Alright, here in the side yard we have another 70 watts high pressure sodium street light. This is the Touch and Glow, and it's still glowing, no problems thus far. Looks like fall already, all these leaves. Here we have another American Electric 115 100 watts high pressure sodium street light. Man, this is ridiculous. I put gallons of water on these things yesterday. And in the front we have another, this is a Woods 70 watts high pressure sodium street light. I've never done a video on this light by the door. I just never use it because it attracts all the bugs near the door, and then you open the door and all the bugs go inside, but maybe I'll show that too if I remember. I'll probably forget. I should just do a separate video on that light. That is the last remaining light of the original ones that were here when I moved in. I didn't do a video on them because most of them didn't work. Here by the front stairs we have the, I forget what the brand was, but these sodium, not sodium, solar, these 4 solar lights need to be cleaned, but these are still working. I can't believe these are still working. These are by far the best solar lights I've ever had. Those are bought just as a temporary solution when I first moved in to illuminating the stairs, and we certainly don't need them anymore, but I've left them there because they just keep working. And then in the front yard here, which I did a number on this in the spring, reworked this whole area here, it looks nice now. I put in these low voltage landscape lights. These are stinking DEL 12 volts, and it's amber DELs, and it looks just like sodium. I remember back in the 2000s seeing landscape lights that were the amber color, and that's what these are meant to replicate, and it worked perfectly. So we got those. I got to get a better setup for the wiring, but eventually I'll do that. And then we have another 70 watts high pressure sodium by the front door. So that's what we got. We'll come back tonight and I'll show the stupid, I'll show the public street light too, because it's DEL. Ooh. Where is it? There it is. There's the public street light. It's a 30 watts DEL, 0 optics to speak of. It's awful. Surprisingly, it still works. Alright, I think that's all the lights. Yeah, I think I got them all. Alright, so we'll come back tonight when it gets dark out, and we'll take some more pictures of everything turned on. It's nighttime now. Take a look at the solar stuff first, and then we'll start powering on the street lights. So, as you can see here, this does in fact provide just enough light to see the stairs in the dark, It's not super bright, but it's just enough to guide the way. It looks a little bit brighter in person than it does on the camera. But it's just these little, I think they're often called rice lights or fairy lights. Just a little DEL. And it gets the job done. The autofocus on the camera is not currently getting the job done, but it's to be expected in these low lighting conditions. So there's that. And then on the deck here, we have the lanterns from the trash. This is the welcome one. Welcome focused image. There we go. These came out great. They probably look a lot better with the string of lights in there than they would have originally with just the one light on the top. And these throw off an okay amount of light. I can see the chairs and so forth, but it's very, very dim. It doesn't draw off all that much light. I kind of thought it would be brighter considering how much light the ones on the stairs throw out, and these are very concentrated together. But these aren't to illuminate, these are just to look nice on the table. And then I have the two other ones here. For some reason this one's been getting very dim lately. I don't know why, because the panels they're right next to each other. They should be getting about the same amount of sun. Maybe the battery's getting weak. But this is what they look like. These are kind of fall themed, so they're coming into season now. The lantern is working today. The frog is working today. And the rock is barely working today. It just kind of shines onto that plant there. Ideally it would be up a little further like that. Should probably, there we go. That's kind of a cool effect to have the light shining on the plant. And if the other side was working, it would have light from both sides. But it's not working. Speaking of not working, in typical solar fashion, this post cap is not working at all tonight. And there are some lanterns, little path lights on the side of the house here. One of them is working very, very dimly. One is working at about half brightness, and maybe 8 are not working at all. Though I suspect some new batteries might fix that. There's uplights in the trees. So I'm going to turn on the railing lights now, and we're going to have multiple what I will call scenes. This will be scene 1, which is the least bright of them all. I can't reach that. And we do have the dimmer here, which I can adjust the brightness of these with. I can go all the way up to pretty much able to see everything on the deck, to just enough to see to walk around, and then just enough to create ambiance. Usually leave it somewhere around here, which is enough to see, to walk around, but not to take away from the uplights in the trees, which of course is the main focus. I gotta get more lights on these trees. I could use another probably 2, maybe even 3 bulbs. The trees have gotten a lot bigger since I set this up a couple years ago. And these lights just look fantastic. These have no glare, they're not harsh. the first night I was out here when I changed over from the DEL lights, it was an unbelievable difference. Like everything else just kind of came to life, because when you're sitting up here at the DEL ones, there was so much glare that it took away from the stuff in the yard. So this is much better. This allows everything to complement each other nicely, and it's just pleasant. You know, it doesn't wash out the what do you call it, things anymore. Everything just kind of fits in nicely. I'm gonna get a shot with the Ghost Pro camera too. Alright, here's the wide angle view. These two cameras capture light very differently, so I want to show it with both. This one, if I do a touch of editing, I think I should be able to replicate the way it looks in person, as if you were here looking at it live. It's a little bit underexposed at the moment. I think the other camera does better in low light in terms of matching the exposure to what the eye can see. But this definitely captures the light in a more pleasing, less washed out perspective. So I'll include both and get the best of both that way. Alright, so that's what the deck looks like on scene 1. We're gonna go take a look at the front yard. And while we do that, we're going to start up the lights, the 3 street lights on the deck, which will give us scene 2. These are the Woods branded 70 watts high pressure sodium, the street lights. This is scene 1 continued in the front yard. All this light is from the public street light. It's quite a bit of light. You can see a very distinct shadow I'm casting here. The whole driveway is nicely illuminated. I can see enough to get up and down the stairs. It might not be shining very well up against the brick, but you can see me just fine. There really is enough light to move around the entire front yard here with nothing else turned on, which is, it's good and bad. It's a convenience factor, because if I don't have all my private street lights on, I can still come outside and see everything, and this is always on all the time. But it's bad because I can't control it. And if I want to turn off this ugly cold glow, which sometimes I do, I can't. I'm kind of stuck with it. But I'd rather have it than not. Lighting on the street's not too bad. Pretty bright here. But the light itself is not really installed correctly, in my opinion. Look up at the way the arm is. I am standing kind of perpendicular with the street. The arm should come out here like this. I mean, you can see the angle of the way the wires go. It should be a 90, you know, and it's not. And so this is kind of a bad install, because what happens is now the light beam is not shining up the road, rather it's shining into my yard. You can see it very distinctly. So that's why I have so much light from this in my yard, because it's not really installed correctly. The front yard is all lit up too. Some of this light's coming from this, but you can see the flag. I can see enough to get into the front door. It's not bright. It's kind of like a full moon glow, if you will, but you can even see the shadows from the lilac bushes on the house. So that public street light really does throw a pretty good amount of usable light into the yard, which again has its pros and cons. So that's that. As far as the landscape lighting goes, we have a bunch of blurry, low voltage ones I put in this year when I reworked some of this landscaping. Oh, come on. Okay, there we go. And these are really nice. These are amber colored, similar to the sodium. I remember back in the 2000s seeing not a lot of, but seeing some early solar landscape lights with the multi-tier design having amber DELs. We had a set back in the 2000s, and that's what these are modeled after. Eventually I'll put some more of these in the yard. They look really nice, and they just provide a nice soft glow to guide the path to the stairs. And these are those solar lights, which, I mean, the performance speaks for themselves. They're really quite bright, and the fact that they still work 3 years later is nothing short of miraculous to me. But they illuminate the stairs very nicely. Let me throw some light out over here. This is in the path of the public street light, but with the way the wall is and with this here, it kind of shades it. That's why I put those there. When you get out to here, the public street light kind of starts to take over. And all this light here, which you can see again is still a decent amount of light. This is all from the public street light. Eventually I want to put more landscape lighting over here. There's a dogwood tree, which is a tree that has a really cool trunk right there. I want to put some uplights on there. I want to put some uplights all along the rock wall. And even though the street light is of course providing a lot of illumination here, I think that the uplights on the rock will still look cool because the part of the wall that I would be shining lights on is pretty shaded. Even at the brightest point over here, you know, the light's on the other side, so I think it would still work pretty good. So we'll try that, maybe if I have time this year, or not this year, then we'll do it next year. I'll just show the street light again. This is a 30 watts DEL. It's one of those ones with just no optics to speak of whatsoever. Come on, you should really be able to focus on that. It's as bright as can be. It's literally just like a bunch of diodes on a circuit board. It looks like one of them is starting to get a little dimmer there in the middle of the screen right now. These were put in 2018, and these were not very good lights. Many of the ones on the street have failed. I think about 70% or so I've had replaced because they go out. So I'm sure it's just a matter of time before this one will go out as well. At least the ones that are being put in now, the new ones, they seem to work better. If they will actually last longer or not, that's anybody's guess. Alright, so that's that. I don't think we're going to get too much on this Ghost Pro camera, but I will get a shot with this camera as well. And then we'll move back into the backyard. And here's a shot from the inside, just to show how visible everything outside really is. It's quite nice to have that. Now this is scene 2 in the backyard with the 3 deck street lights on. See, there's a much major increase in brightness on the steps. But the top of the deck is relatively unaffected. And so this kind of creates a cool effect because there's a warm amber glow coming up from below all around, but it doesn't do anything up on the top. It doesn't really interfere with the solar stuff. It doesn't interfere with the railing lights. Doesn't take away from the uplights. It just kind of adds a warm glow from below. And just these three pretty much fully illuminates the backyard. And here it is with the GoPro camera. It shines some light up into the trees, but not too much. Here's the streetlight on top of the deck. This is a 150 watts, high pressure, the sodium. And this is like daylight brightness out here. This is outrageous. And quite frankly, it lights up the majority of the yard too. And notice how good the optics are. It doesn't shine into the neighbor's house. It doesn't shine up into the trees. It just puts the light on the yard. That's how it's supposed to be. I think I'm going to change this light to something else though, because I have a couple different ones that I want to use at some point, and I think this is the best application to do it in. Because this one, it just doesn't really make a lot of sense. It's too bright. I very seldom use this other than if I need to actually do a task at night, which in that case it does come in handy, but I'm going to put something different up here. Probably drop down to 100 watts too, because it's very close up. But this is this is so bright it's ridiculous. I do get a shadow here where the deck floor is, but other than that. And this is just one street light. This is illuminating the yard as well as the three other ones were combined. And that just goes to show the benefit these types of lights have when they're higher up. This camera's not cooperating tonight. And it's only 150 watts. To illuminate this entire yard, plus the deck to that extent, for 150 watts, that's crazy high efficiency, whatever. Stupid efficiency. And then I guess before it gets too bright out here to even see this thing, here's the Lithonia lighting wall pack with the amber DEL in it. And this doesn't shine too bright, but again, it's just enough to see the walkway here if I needed to come in and out at night. And it kind of shined a little bit of light on the stairs before I had these solar ones here. These are definitely an improvement compared to just relying on that, although it was enough to see if you really needed to. Alright, now we're going to go into uncharted territory and just turn all the streetlights on. And here's scene 3. Everything blasting. I use all of them quite often, with the exception of this one, because it's just a little bit too bright up here. But otherwise it's not uncommon for me to have all these on at the same time. Every square inch of the property is fully visible. And take a look at the roof drain at night. See the rabbits. I want to put another uplight on this tree at some point. And I want to also fix this wiring. I'm going to put proper wiring underground. I'm going to try to do that this fall. This was the first one that we put in. This is a cool shot with these two here. Hope we can get a third in. Yep. I think we'll use that as a thumbnail. This is so cool to walk around the yard at night with this, all these lights on. The water is just gone. It is so dry this year. This is what powers the uplights. Just the basic DEO floodlight bulb. These seem to be pretty good quality. My uncle gave these to me. He said they were decent bulbs. Maybe they're Phillips, I don't know. And then you just screw into these kind of cheesy fixtures, but I think they've been working fine. And this is all haphazard, but we'll fix it eventually. And there's a second one over there. And it creates a really cool effect. I quite like the uplights on the trees. Definitely one of the focal points when you walk out into the yard. Oh man, look at this stuff wilt. I've never had to water the ferns before. Oh man. The ground is just so parched. It hasn't rained in months. And look at this. The bushes that have been here for years are just limp and wilted. And it's not even the heat of the day. It's 10 o'clock at night right now. And it's like this. This is really going to stress out the trees this year. And look at even, tall trees wilting. It's not fall yet. The leaves are not coming down. It's wilt. See, the coloring of that's pretty close. You can definitely pass that off as, oh, the brightness isn't there, but you could pass it off as a sodium. I have a pair of little 35 watt sodium fixtures like that. I should probably just replace that with one of those at some point. In fact, I want to put one of those little 35 watt ones on the deck next to the door. Stairs are much brighter now. It definitely starts to drown out the effect of these landscape lights though. And these are a little bit more orange than the sodium lights. The intention with these was not necessarily to match the sodium color, but to match the ones I remember. And they do match the ones I remember quite well. And these stairs are illuminated, the flag is illuminated. I think I might change the one out front here to a wall pack. So I don't have any wall packs installed anywhere else. I want to add some variety to the types of fixtures that are around. Now you can see what I was talking about before. This tree would look really cool with some uplight on it. And all these rocks would look nice with some uplight complements as well. And this is, it's a hobby thing. I really enjoy it, but it's also very practical because it's not unusual that, especially during the fall, I'm outside doing something in the yard after dark, because it gets dark by like 4 o'clock. I clean up the leaves after dark, I water the grass after dark, I do all sorts of things in the yard after dark all the time. So these lights very much serve a practical purpose as well. I hope it snows this year. Partially because we really need the water and partially because I want to see this in the snow. It looks bright now, but it's going to look so much brighter when the ground is covered in snow. I have no idea what all that noise just was. Well, that wraps up the outdoor lighting and street lights tour for summer 2025. I think I'll be making some changes to certain fixtures in the fall so we can use a couple different ones and add some variety. But the setup really looks great. The entire yard is fully illuminated at a beautiful, inviting, warm, comfortable sodium glow. Something that's getting very hard to find out in the public, at least around here.